The seventh day of the impeachment trial of suspended Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton continues inside the Texas Capitol. 3 more witnesses taking the stand today, but the big news late this afternoon might be the one that didn't take the stand today. KVUE's Ford Sanders joins us now live from inside the state capitol. Late breaking news on a potential witness today, Ford.
Quita, Brian, it was all a timing issue. Olson was actually here. She was ready to go when she was called into the Senate chamber, but she has officially been deemed unable to testify. Now you can see Olson walked into the Senate chamber ready to take the stand this morning, but the attorneys agreed witnesses should be given 24 hours notice to appear so the other side could prepare for cross-examination. Olson's notice went out yesterday at 3:53 p.m., but like we said, she is now unable to testify. So the prosecution had to call other witnesses in the meantime. One of them was another key witness, Drew Wicker. He was Paxton's executive aide. He told jurors about a conversation between Paxton and his contractor at the Paxton's Austin home over in Terrytown, which was under renovation. Paxton wanted some upgrades done on the kitchen, and on 3 occasions, the contractor told Paxton he would have to check with Nate. Wicker took that to mean Austin real estate investor Nate Paul. And with the advice of some senior staff members of Paxton's office, Wicker asked the Attorney General about it.
I asked him about the conversation that I'd overheard, and I stated that I walked away with a certain impression.
Let me pause you. With what impression?
I walked away with the impression that Nate Paul was involved in the renovations of General Paxton's home.
What concerns did you have about that?
Given the fact that we were working on several items related to Mr. Paul, it felt as though there might be an inappropriate relationship there.
Another one of Paxton's top attorneys and whistleblowers, Blake Brickman, was the last person to take the stand before the break that we saw a little bit earlier. He firmly believed Paxton's actions were wrong, and that's why he reported him to the FBI. Brickman stayed on with the office after he filed that report, but says the environment became hostile.
They had, like I mentioned earlier, Brent showed up in my office with a woman with a gun. They asked me to take my cell phone to the car. They removed me from access to Attorney General Paxton's schedule, which I oversaw. They hired apparently another scheduler without asking me. They sent a letter to the entire House of Representatives in response to a request by Jeff Leach that they did not even show me before they sent out.
Like we said, we are back from that break. Brickman is back on the stand right now, and he is taking questioning as we speak. Live from the Texas State Capitol, Ford Sanders, KVUE News.
Ford, thank you very much for that. Let's continue the conversation with KVUE's managing editor of political content, Ashley Godot. She joins us now. And big takeaway today, I guess, is the Laura Olson, the mistress that didn't take the stand. First, she was called this morning, wasn't able to do that. We thought maybe this afternoon. That's not going to happen.
Well, we sort of knew. We were banking on this afternoon. So basically what happened is Laura Olson was the first witness that the prosecution called to the stand this morning. This speaks directly to Article 9 of the impeachment. Obviously, having an affair is not an impeachable offense, but it is alleged that Nate Paul hired Laura Olson to work for his company here in Austin. And so she moved from San Antonio to Austin to be closer to Ken Paxton, and that this was in exchange for all of the help that Nate Paul was receiving from Ken Paxton in his ongoing federal investigation into him. And so that is why we wanted to hear from Laura Olson related to Article 9. She was set to be the first witness. There was a pause. She walked in. She walked into the Senate chamber. Into the beginning of the chambers, was about to go through the door when the defense kind of halted everything. And there's this rule that both sides agreed to. You get 24 hours notice before a witness can testify. This was not only to give the witnesses notice, but to give the attorneys notice so that they could prepare to cross-examine witnesses. And that hadn't happened because her notice went out at 3:53 p.m. yesterday. So 3:53 p.m. today is when she would have been eligible. We took a break, and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said, I have to go rule on something. And I have to do it outside the presence of the jury, and I'm not going to, he didn't share any details. We took a break. He told the jury we'd be back at some time. He came back, and what is interesting is he announced that both sides agreed that she was unavailable to testify. So that's certainly interesting, and it's certainly going to be interesting to see how they try to prove Article 9 without testimony from Laura Olson. The other big thing that happened today was the testimony of Drew Wicker, which spoke to Article 10, the constitutional bribery. That article alleges that Nate Paul, again, in exchange for the help he was getting from Paxton's office, that he renovated the Paxton's home. And so when Drew Wicker was on the stand, there was a lot of really critical testimony that happened today about when the Paxtons made this payment for their home renovation. Their home was damaged. Their home in Terrytown was damaged during a spring storm, water damage to the master bedroom. But the kitchen was also renovated in all of this. And so what Drew Wicker talked about was this payment from USAA. The insurance company gave a payment of $121,617. I have it burned in my head to the Paxtons, and that Paxton sent a text message to his trust to say, go ahead and send a payment of that exact amount to a contractor, by the way, that has ties to Nate Paul. And he did that on the 30th, the same day that the whistleblowers went to the FBI on him. The October 1st is when the whistleblowers told Paxton that they had reported him to the FBI. And so, you know, Busby had seemingly put that article to bed as being false, but then the prosecution came back and with the metadata of the invoice that the Paxtons had paid, and the metadata showed that invoice was not created and sent until October 1st, the evening of October 1st. So certainly, you know, you can see this for the jurors. It is going to be up to them to decide if that was enough doubt or if that was enough evidence to prove that this was some sort of cover-up.
So, Laura Olson, back to her again. We don't know that she's not going to testify. We just know she's not going to testify today.
Unavailable to testify today, was deemed unavailable to testify today, and Patrick would not go into any other detail. He said, I'm not going to give any other information about that. So we don't know if that means tomorrow we will see her. We know that the time is running out for the prosecution to present its case. They are nearing their 24th hour pretty soon here.
Just one of the curveballs in this trial. All right. Our Ashley Godot. Ashley, thank you so much. Of course. And we will continue to bring you gavel-to-gavel coverage of the impeachment trial. Just search for KVUE on Fire TV, Roku, or Apple TV. And you can also find us on KVUE.com and the KVUE YouTube channel.